We'll now welcome in Frank Leboeuf, dressed as a lumberjack tonight. Kieran Gibbs is here as well, which definitely means Arsenal are struggling. That's usually when we see you, Kieran. Have you hit the panic button yet?
No panic from me yet. Not at all. I think if it's a loss this weekend, with a City and Liverpool win, then I'd start to worry a little bit. But even at that point, I don't think it's far from over. And not because of Arsenal. I think just because others haven't really convinced me that they're completely running away with it. So I think there's a lot of twists to come. But I would like to see a big performance from Arsenal this weekend. I think it's overdue. I think it's been a bit of a bizarre month with a concoction of silly mistakes, injuries, some misfortune as well, and decisions not going their way. Key players out of form. But I think that, that form can't last any longer. They really have to put in a big convincing performance this weekend.
Arteta's talked about...
Kieran likes Arsenal being under the radar.
we get to see more of him. I wonder what he thinks about Frank's shirt today.
The problem was there was only one game to go in the season and they were under the radar.
But let's talk about, because Arteta's talked about them needing to score more goals. He said, did you score the goal? No, then we have a problem. That's what he's talked about. That's obviously something that they've got to look at.
If you're not scoring, you've got a problem. We know they've been generally solid defensively over the last 18 months. They've had some issues in that department recently in terms of personnel. But yeah, they need to... This is a much bigger game at this time of the season than I think Arsenal would have liked. It's I wouldn't say a season changer, but it certainly can be a season turner for Arsenal. I mean, they can really, put the last couple of games, 2 or 3 games behind them, put on a big performance, really roll the sleeves up and show Chelsea, who have been much better this season, but were not great at Man United last week, and really show them who's boss. But I think there are several players within this Arsenal side that need to play better. And in my opinion, one of them, and I don't want to harp on about him, but Kai Havertz for me needs to do more. Whenever I watch him, I just think he's okay. He never did. Now and again pops up with a goal, but when you look at his record against other notable Premier League strikers, he's down the bottom of the list. I mean, Jamie Vardy's got the same amount of goals and assists. He's 37. He's 37 playing in a side that's going to be battling relegation. Dominic Solanke's played less games, but he's at a new club. You've got Liam Delap at Ipswich, you've got Ollie Watkins, you've got all these guys who's scoring more than them, and he's playing in one of the best teams in Europe, Kai Havertz. And he's played the most amount of minutes, 900 minutes. So he's played more than any of them in better teams, apart from Erling Haaland. And I just think he needs to do more. I think his all-round performances, all right, he's not scoring goals. What else is he doing? The assists are not there either, so he's not linking up the play as well as he should. He's not scoring the goals that he should as a number 9. So what is it, flicking a few headers on? Ruffling a few centre-halves around. If Arsenal are going to challenge all the way to the end of the season and in Europe, Kai Havertz is going to have to start scoring goals. So it's as simple as that. I mean, you may look at Liverpool and say, well, but they're sharing it around. Liverpool are sharing it around. He's making changes. One day it's Diaz in there, then it's Nunez, then it's Jota, then Salah's popping up with the goals. And they're top of the league. So it's really not a conversation. At Arsenal, it is a conversation because it is so important when you're not playing well that you get goals either from the middle of the park and Odegaard is out, or you're getting goals from your number 9. And let's be honest about it, Arsenal are not getting enough goals from their number 9 to cover the other issues that they're having at the moment.
It's interesting to draw a parallel with Liverpool there, because when we talk about Kai Havertz, so often it seems so similar to me as when we discuss Darwin Núñez. Whenever he does something good, but sitting in his first season and a half, whenever he does something good, Liverpool fans are quick to point out what Darwin Núñez did and how physical a presence he is and what he brings to this Liverpool team. But then he goes missing and nobody mentions him or seems to mention him in a positive light for 4 or 5 games, and then he does something good, and we have that. We kind of go through that cycle. And it's similar with Kai Havertz. Now, don't get me wrong, I'd have Kai Havertz in my team before Darwin Núñez. I would. But again, we've kind of made the case that Arsenal needed an out-and-out striker, somebody who would get you 20, 25 goals a season to really start competing with what we thought was just Manchester City. They didn't. They stuck with Kai Havertz, and we go through this again, this time with Arsenal fans. Kai Havertz does something good. We have that discussion. Look how good he is. This is what he brings. You all are poo-pooing on Kai Havertz. And then 4 or 5 games, we don't say anything. That, if you want to compete at the top of the Premier League table, that can't be your out-and-out striker. It's all well and good for Liverpool because you've got Salah and you've got Jota and you've got Luis Diaz. You've got so many others. Arsenal don't. And as a result, Arsenal have found themselves off the pace to a very poor Manchester City by their standards of what we've seen, and the surprise of the season so far in Liverpool.
One of the differences, just briefly before we go to the lads, is Liverpool, are both under Klopp and Slot, have been able to slot Nunez in and then take him out. Arsenal, as Shaka said, they can. They have Gabriel Jesus. I mean, they have Raheem Sterling. They could shuffle a few people around. But this is a big weekend for him. I mean, he can make a statement this weekend. He can go back to his old club where he won the Champions League. He could score a couple of goals. Aye, and his season's off and running. But the point is I don't think Arsenal will go all the way to the end of the season when you start peeling it back and looking at what he's doing in games when others are... You can't keep saying, because we saw it in Italy in midweek, teams will absolutely double and triple up on Bukayo Saka. Then you're looking at the other side of the pitch, and Martinelli's not playing consistently enough. Trossard will come in and do a job, we know that, but Martinelli consistently has not been doing well enough. Then you have to come in field and look at your striker. And unfortunately, at the moment, he's not doing enough either.
Could he do more, Frank, Kai Havertz?
I don't think so. I mean, I saw him playing for Chelsea. I'm not surprised with what I see. He can be very good for like 3 months, but the inconsistency of his game is back all the time. I really believe while the guys were talking that I came back into the past. We had that conversation so many times about Kai Havertz not scoring enough goals, Kai Havertz not being consistent enough, Arsenal looking for a striker, needing a striker. We had that conversation in March last season, that in the future, Arsenal, in order to win the Premier League, will need a striker. And then we are in November and we still wonder why they didn't get a striker. Kai Havertz is a good player, but he's not a player who's going to score 20, 25 goals. He's not somebody who's going to give you assists like crazy. He's a good player sometimes, but not for the entire season. So we were kind of happy to see him leaving from Chelsea to Arsenal. He almost proved us wrong at a certain point at the end of the season, last season. But we go back to what we know. He's been good at the beginning of the season. Now he's starting little by little going into the descent that we already know.
Is what the boys are saying fair for you, Kieran?
I think with Kai Havertz, I think he's not the type of player that possesses the individual brilliance to just go and change a game for his team. But I think he's a very effective player if you build the right team around him. Whenever we've seen Kai Havertz at his best, he's always had a plethora of players that can give him the service that he needs and he can deliver. But if you're asking Kai Havertz to completely produce a piece of individual brilliance every week to keep his team in the title race, I don't think that's what Kai Havertz was brought to Arsenal for. In the first place, whether that's right or wrong. But, the boys are right in saying that they should expect that from an Arsenal number 9. If you're going to be Arsenal's number 9, you should possess those qualities. If you look at any title-winning team, they always have one special player that can do that. I think that in order to get the best out of Kai Havertz, you have to figure out I think there's an issue behind him. I think there's an issue in the midfield that needs to be resolved and Mikel needs to get right in order to get the best out of Kai Havertz. Obviously, Odegaard's been missing, but I think now that he's back, we will start to see. We will obviously start to see the Arsenal of old, and I'm hoping that they get there fast.
Is it as simple as that? Odegaard back, everything's okay again?
Well, not on the goal scoring front. I mean, certainly he'll be more creative, but the Havertz has to take the chances. I remember him being a younger player at Bayer Leverkusen, and I remember sitting thinking, wow, this lad can play. Strong in the air, direct, runs at people, holds possession. I don't think I've said that too many times, both at Chelsea or Arsenal. I really don't. I mean, as Shaka said, there's been the odd time, there's been the odd moment, but I don't really sit and go, wow, what a performance that has been. And I think that's the problem. If you look at Chelsea, a player in a similar position, Nico Jackson. I'm not his biggest fan, but he's improved his game. He has improved his game under Enzo Maresca. His goals are better, certainly better than Havertz. He's a bigger threat, his finishing's better, and his link-up play coming short, as he does the way Chelsea try and play, he comes short and then they spring the wide players in behind. He's not losing the ball as much when he's coming to link up. I see a lot of Kai Havertz giving the ball away. And I just think as an all-round package, if Arsenal are going to win the title, he's either going to have to start linking the play up and scoring goals, or they're going to have to make a change. We can talk about Erling Haaland and assists and all that. Doesn't matter. It's pie in the sky. Haaland scores a gazillion goals. If Havertz is not playing this instrumental goal-scoring part, he's going to have to offer something else. Let's see if that's at the weekend.
Yeah, speaking of making changes, we're going to take a look at a possible 11 for Arsenal this weekend. It's a feature over on our website, ESPN.com, where you'll get a possible starting 11 for the teams in the Premier League, who's in, who's out, what the injuries are, who could be a doubt. This is what we're looking at right now, Kieran. What would you change? Still no Odegaard here.
I think for me, I would like to see Trossard out on the left. I think being in number 10 for him, I don't think it suits this Arsenal team. I think when we look at Odegaard being missing, I think a big problem is that there's no link between the back four, or lack of link between the back four, the midfield and the strikers. And Odegaard is a mastermind at that. And his knowledge of when to drop deep and take the sting out of a game, particularly I think about the game against Newcastle the other week. They didn't have that. They're skipping a step in their build-up play, and I think that's become a bit of a problem for Arsenal. So I don't think Trossard's that type of player to drop deep and start to make things happen from deep. So I would like to see him out on the left. I think that's where he's most influential for the team. I would start him there. In hindsight, look, you could have said over the last month, with the results that they've had, that he could have played a couple of games and see how it went. Well, obviously hindsight's a wonderful thing. And now I think it would be a good time to throw him in.
Kind of. Yeah, I agree. The youngster looks really.
But a 17-year-old in a game like this.
I don't think he'll play, but he's looked really good, and clearly Arsenal still have a good system of bringing young players through. Let me just go back to the Havertz thing, but not on Havertz. It really tells you what Arteta must think of one of his big signings. Another one from Man City, Zinchenko hasn't worked out, and Gabriel Jesus. I know he's had his injury problems. I know he's not always been fit. But it kind of tells you where he is in his mindset about what this player is bringing or not bringing to the Arsenal team. Here's a guy who, obviously City got it right with these two players. They didn't get it right with Cole Palmer, obviously going to Chelsea, but they got it right with these two because apart from the odd occasion, again, Gabriel Jesus has underperformed big time. And, you're looking back at the recruitment in Arteta really here, because when you have somebody that's not scoring goals and people are underperforming, then part of the reason you build a squad is to be able to take them out and put somebody in until such a time that somebody gets the form or their confidence back. And that's part of building a squad to challenge, and that's on Arsenal's recruitment, Frank, and it's on Mikel Arteta as well.
I'm 100% with you, but it seems to be not enough. After Zinchenko and Gabriel, he just got Sterling. And that's really strange for me, that he decides to go to the past, in fact, to what those players worth at the time he was there with Guardiola. But I'm with you, Craig. I think the signings are, in terms of quality, doubtful for me to strengthen Arsenal comparing to Manchester City. Guardiola wants to get rid of the players. Arsenal, in order to win the Premier League, wants to buy those players. That doesn't make any sense to me. There is something in between, maybe you have to find. But I'm with you. Zinchenko, Havertz, Gabriel, Sterling, and you want to win the Premier League with those players, with all due respect. They are not the type of player you would think will re-strengthen Arsenal.
Arsenal are a very good team. We've just not seen it enough this season. They are a really good side. They can get back to that. But if they lose at Chelsea at the weekend, it's a problem. It means when they come back from the international break, they're probably going to have some players back, but they're going to have to put one hell of a run in the next 2 or 3 months together. That's the position, if they lose at the weekend, that they're going to find themselves in. So
let's take a look at what you guys think is going to happen at the weekend against Chelsea. These are the predictions. And, you've got Arsenal winning it, Craig.
I have, because I think they're a better side than Chelsea. And I think we saw last week, and Cole Palmer is doubtful, that when Cole Palmer doesn't perform, and he didn't play particularly well at Old Trafford, then Chelsea suffer. And I just feel Arsenal are a stronger outfit, and they really need it more. I mean, if it's a hiccup in this game for Chelsea, you know, they'll move on. They're at a different juncture in their rebuild. They're not title challengers. Be a blow, it's a London derby, but they're at a different place in terms of piecing the jigsaw together. For Arsenal, with their recent form, this now becomes a huge game.
Yeah.